Hello, I'm Esther Roche and welcome to the Mom CEO podcast. Join me as we explore the dynamic intersection of motherhood and entrepreneurship. From the challenges to the triumphs, we're here to unravel it all. Get ready for insightful conversations, practical wisdom, and a whole lot of inspiration. Let's embark on this empowering journey together. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Mom CEO podcast. I'm your host Esther Roche and today I am joined by Milly Fyfe. Hello Milly and welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Esther. It's a pleasure.
Thank you for coming on the show. If you would like, for the benefit of our audience, to just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, sure. I'm Milly Fyfe. I'm a mum of two young boys who are aged 5 and 6, and I have several businesses. I'm a farmer, a food producer, and a social entrepreneur. So my husband and I, we're farming in rural Northamptonshire, and we have beef cattle, sheep, we have some arable crop, and I have a kitchen garden. And then I run two businesses. One is a PR and marketing business, which is really what came about after having the children, where I support other food and farming businesses with their social media marketing. But more recently, I have spent a lot of my time developing and launching No Fuss Meals for Busy Parents, which is a community interest company that provides a connection between food grown in the UK and how to make tasty meals from scratch. So I spin quite a few plates.
You're definitely very, very busy. You know, with the two boys as well. How old are the boys?
Yeah, so they're 5 and 6. So there's 15 months between the two of them, and they're quite confident, feral farm boys. So life is never dull.
No, it doesn't sound like it from everything. So, you know, just to get a little bit of background with obviously your businesses, I can see like the Northwest Mills is probably more linked to what you do with the farming side of things. Where did the
Yes.
inspiration come from for that?
So during the pandemic, like a lot of these things, obviously the children were a lot younger, and I've always had a passion for sharing things on social media. I'm quite a sort of creative and would take lots of photos, lots of videos, and just share them on my personal platform. And quite quickly, people would start commenting and recognize that some of the recipes that I was sharing. So what we would do was obviously promote what we were doing in the garden, whether we're growing potatoes or collecting eggs from the chickens, and then we bring everything into the kitchen and cook a meal with the produce that we just collected. And that started to inspire other people to have a go themselves and get cooking with their children. And as we all know, during the pandemic, it was obviously a lot. It was very challenging to be able to just nip to the supermarket and get things. And there was a real wave of people looking to cook from scratch and support local producers. So it really just stemmed from there. And, you know, fast forward 4 years, in the last 12 months, I've registered as a community interest company now, because the CIC, the content I've been creating has really got so much traction. I've started to recruit sponsors. I've also got my own podcast now where I'm interviewing farmers and food producers about what they grow. So yeah, it's been a complete creative outlet for me, and something that I get a lot of reward from, and now I'm trying to make it into a sustainable business.
Oh, fantastic. It sounds like you've actually really done quite a lot with it. So in terms of, you know, obviously you started off with the content and preparing the meals with the families. Do you actually supply the food as well, or is it just the recipes and inspiration around what people can do at home?
So yeah, mainly it's the recipes, and they're easy to follow. So I've always been a huge fan of, I've got that many cookbooks. I love watching cookery on the TV, but actually I don't find it very accessible. And I think that's a real barrier to a lot of parents, especially when, you know, I mean, that's the whole inspiration by the name, No Fuss Meals for Busy Parents, because we are time poor and we are juggling so many things. But actually being able to cook from scratch is so good for you. And it is really, really to get children eating fruit and vegetables and things like that. If they're invested in the whole process, then I think they're more likely to eat it. And that's what I found with my children and what feedback people have been giving me. But people can buy small, if they're local to me, then yes, we do sell produce here on the farm, from the farm gate. So we sell our eggs, we sell sausages, we sell chickens and pork as well. And sort of looking to the future, we're looking at converting a building into a cookery school where people can come here and sort of really be immersed in our world and go down the garden and dig up potatoes, pick strawberries, what have you, and then bring everything into the kitchen. And I also will stock other local producers produce as well. So I don't want to say I'm going to ever do a farm shop, because I think that's a whole different ball game. And yeah, so mainly it's very much digital, and there are lots of downloadable resources, there's lots of videos, but I do also collaborate with other organisations as well locally. So I like our local food larder, and I'm a Grow Cook Eat ambassador through our local homeless shelter as well. So it's quite diverse where everything's been going, really. And I think now I've obviously done a lot of this off my own back, and I need to make it pay, really, because we've all got bills to pay, haven't we? So but it's I mean, that's the thing with the social enterprise. You've got to have that sort of trading element and everything.
Yeah.
It is not for profit, and it is doing a lot of social good, and I want it to last a long time and be sustainable. So in order to do that, obviously I've got to generate an income, and at the moment it's been reliant on small grants and things. And now that I've got paid partnerships and influencer work coming in and corporate sponsorship and things, it's all starting to happen. So it's quite exciting. But obviously there's been a lot of hurdles as well.
Yeah, no, I can imagine with all the hurdles and stuff. And it's interesting there because, I'm not farm scale, but I do have an allotment. I love growing my own stuff. And I think it's so important for the children to actually understand and know where the food is coming from. But equally, I love cooking. So I think it's quite different when you have a love of cooking and when you don't. So for you to create something that's simple and easy for those people that, one, are time pressured and also don't necessarily enjoy the cooking, it's really, really helpful. And you can't buy that, can you? Just to make sure they've got a nutritious meal.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm a home cook, I'm not a professional chef or anything. And I'd like to think that my content is relatable and that people will have a go. And most of the things that I talk about that I've already have in their cupboards, or it's very easy to be able to get hold of those ingredients.
Yeah, no, that's definitely the main key, I think, because if you have to go and try and find 50 different ingredients that you can't find, you're not going to start cooking anyway in the first place.
No,
And,
no.
Obviously you mentioned these challenges that you've had to sort of go through to get yourself to where you're at now. What are some of those challenges that you've come across?
Yeah, I mean, I've got obviously my personal challenges and then obviously my professional. Since having the children, I have struggled quite a lot with my own mental health, both physically and mentally, because I live in chronic pain. And that's I had a very traumatic birth, and 6 years on, I'm still sort of trying to work through that and everything. But the development of the CIC gives me such a fantastic focus, and inspiring other people, that's sort of what keeps me motivated to help make a difference. And there have been dark days and things, and I talk quite openly about that now, and partly because it can be quite isolating and lonely, can't it, when you have children. And before having children, I was quite a high flyer. I had quite a dynamic career. I was CEO at 30 years old of a large agricultural membership organisation, and then to obviously have all these challenges, but then come through that and then create my own businesses where I'm then able to kind of work around the children and sort of
Yeah.
I don't want to say have it all, because that's not but you know, be able to spin those plates and kind of be able to earn my own money, but also be there for my children. And I think ultimately that's kind of where we want to be, isn't it? Well, that's what I find. And then professionally, obviously coming away from good paid work for my PR and marketing business, I wanted to take the time to commit to the CIC, but obviously it's not generating an income at the moment. So I'm really am starting to struggle financially now, because the cash flow is really tight, and I kind of feel like I'm turning it around now. And I needed to do that because it was going to be really stressful, and it was always the last thing I did at night was create content for the first meals with busy parents. And everyone kept encouraging me. I went on a leadership course, and I kind of really worked out where my moral compass lies, and that's what's really spurred me on. And obviously fast forward a year and we're here, and you know, the next step is to build the community kitchen. And again, I'm having quite a lot of difficulty with that, because grant funding is so competitive, it takes so much time, and yeah, it's just, things are a lot slower than I ever thought it were. And obviously you've still got bills to pay, so you know, there are those challenges. But you know, I've got a lot of people spurring me on and keeping me going. But you know, I've got to really turn it around. And yeah, with the award, you know, I've been given lots of accolades and awards, which is wonderful. And again, that's generated a lot of PR, so a lot more people are aware of what's going on. So it's now, yeah, looking to the future, and yeah, how can I generate an income so that I can sustain things. Yeah.
No, absolutely. And it's great that you've mentioned obviously the challenges as well, and the kind of journey that you've had so far, because sometimes I think from somebody looking at studying a business or studying a venture, they just think, oh, it's going to happen sort of overnight, it's a quick thing, and you know, people just happen suddenly. But it's a process, isn't it? You just go through this process, and it's learning and developing those things as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a real learning curve. And I think some advice is to get involved with other kind of small business networks and organizations, because we're all going through similar things. And I mean, how we've come to meet is through the Small Business Britain, through F Entrepreneurship. And it's brilliant to be involved, because you feel like you're held, and you can share things within the groups on Facebook, for example. And that's you know, you then don't feel like you're on your own sometimes. And it's not for the faint-hearted either. You might have an idea and think, oh yeah, I want to do this. I'm just going to, you know, jack in my amazing full-time job that gives me a salary every month and holiday pay and sick pay, for a bit of freedom. And I always say now I'm a free-range human, because I can make my own decisions, and I don't have to report to anyone. Well, I do have to report to them, because I have to report to Companies House, and I have to report to my accountant, all those sorts of things. So yeah, but it just means that actually I can be there for my children, and I can watch them grow up. And I knew with the career I had before, that if I kind of went back to that after having the children, I just wouldn't see them. It would be a nanny or the childminder raising my children. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. But for me, it's a very personal choice, isn't it? And for me, I wanted to kind of be around and immerse them in our country way of living.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like you said, it's a matter of choice. And I think for most people with businesses, they have started somewhere, they worked somewhere, and a change in circumstances has made them take that leap and kind of change their life to revolve around their families or their changing circumstances and situations and stuff, which is, you know, which is important. Myself as well, I was in a practice you know, all the time, and it's difficult because you can't do the school run, you can't attend certain events and everything, and it's trying to work and build this life around your own family, but also equally, not everybody is going to have a business. Not everybody is inclined to want to start a business. Some people I just prefer to work, but they make it balance and work. And it's like childcare as well, isn't it? The costs involved in child is just incredible and everything. So
Yeah.
yeah. So just to have a little dig, you mentioned something earlier about obviously your mental health and the chronic pain and everything. I just wanted to talk a little bit about that and how, how that came about and what sort of things you're doing around that yourself.
Yeah. So as I referred to earlier, I had quite a traumatic birth with my first child. He got stuck in my pelvis during delivery, and so resulted in an emergency C-section. But before I went in for theatre, there was quite a long delay before I went in. So my whole left leg went completely numb in that process, and I've never had the sensation back. And so I've had a lot of nerve damage, which has altered just the way that I stand and my core strength really. And it's only really become apparent after I had my second child, because during my first see, I didn't know. I've never mentally prepared myself for an emergency C-section, and obviously then the recovery from that. And I guess I just thought that I was still recovering from the impact of having, the layers of your muscle walls and your nerve endings cut and things like that. And actually I fell pregnant really quickly again, and I had a planned C-section because obviously it was very close between the two. And it wasn't until after my second child arrived and I was recovering from that C-section that I really noticed that something really wasn't right. And I think then obviously the sort of dynamics of having two very young children, my husband being a farmer and he's never here. So, it's very much a 7-day a week. We have very little support around us as well. And so obviously the culmination of living in that chronic pain, and this sort of started during the pandemic. So of course then trying to access healthcare when everything is so under pressure and very difficult to access. And yeah, so it was kind of like the perfect storm in that respect. And even now we're only really getting to the bottom of it. So I have a condition called pudendal neuralgia, where basically the pudendal nerve in my pelvis was damaged, and it really taps into my central nervous system. So I constantly feel like I'm on overdrive. But I've also only recently, in the last month, found out that I've got a labral tear in my hip joint as well. And so they've injected me with steroid as well. So again, I don't know what they're going to do next, but it's because there's so much going on in that area. It's I never want to say, oh gosh, I haven't been treated well or looked after well. It's the fact that there is so many different things going on physically in that area. And I suppose the one negative or one frustration is the fact that, when you're dealing with the NHS, is that everything is in separate departments, so no one really seems to talk to one another. So I'll go down one route and then we'll get to a certain point and then they'll say, oh, actually you really need to see this person, and instead of just being passed across, you then almost starting again and working your way back up. And of course life goes on, time goes on, and referrals can take a long time. So it's you're then having to try and look at how you self-care and manage everything in the meantime. So I've been on some quite strong tablets over the years, and now I'm actually I am only on ibuprofen at the moment, which is quite good. But I'm to sort of manage things, I try and do a lot of mindfulness, a lot of yoga, swimming, try and give myself a little bit of time to kind of heal. But it's a real challenge when you've got young children, and kind of looking back, I realized why I couldn't sit on the floor and play with them. But I mean, at the time it wasn't a sort of limiting factor, but I just sort of felt like I was, perhaps a little bit old before my time, because like my bones, everything just ached and hurt, but I couldn't really describe what was wrong because it just hurt everywhere. And now we, with all of the different treatments and medication and procedures that I've had, I'm now at a point where I'm like, right, we know where the pain's coming from and how we're going to address it. So yeah, so there is light at the end of the tunnel, but it's just taken a lot of time, and talking to counsellors and different things has really kind of helped me through. But I think my biggest coping strategy is keeping busy.
Well, you are certainly such a busy woman. So you've got so many things going on and everything. But I think, like you say, that the main thing is obviously you're getting to the root of, the root of the problem really, and just getting to understand why you're getting this pain, and obviously something is happening around it and how it's being resolved. Would you say that with the pain and everything else, and obviously having gone through this process, is that what has been posing issues, like, from the mental health perspective, or is it something that you generally had before and you sort of worry about things?
Yeah, a bit of both. I've always been a little bit anxious, anyway, but I suppose I've always been someone that I wear my heart on my sleeve. I always, I'm a very caring and passionate person. And also because I'm quite clever as well. And with all the different things that go on in the world, I get really frustrated about things because then I'm like, well, why is this like this? And, I've always been a bit of a kind of a challenge, a disruptor, let's say. That's the new buzzword, isn't it? I am a disruptor in some senses, but I think obviously with the chronic pain, you can't escape it. It's there all the time. And I was thankful to finally meet a consultant, happens to be a woman, because it did feel on occasions that I was gaslighted with things, or just kind of, oh, it'll all sort itself out, time's a great healer and all that, which it is, but actually there is physically things that are wrong with me. And it wasn't until I met this certain consultant, and she was like, this is what I think is wrong with you, this is how we're going to deal with it. She got me in, she got me sorted, and now we can really work out what the long-term outlook looks for me, and I can get back to having more of an enjoyable life, or living life to the full, because it does drain your time, your energy, and although I'm not going to do even more, it just means that I can go, oh.
Yeah, no, it's important as well, isn't it? And it's just nice that, what I like as well and love about, as much as you've got all these things happening, you seem to be very organized and have a sense of giving yourself that bit of TLC and sort of self-care. You give yourself time to do that and allow yourself to do that.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when you're giving so much to so many other people. I mean, obviously I give to my family, to my children, but also to my community and to my business, to so many people. But if you don't look after yourself, then I'm never going to be able to do any of these other things. And I now don't feel as guilty when I do take time to go and have a pedicure, or just something, because if you don't, then you'll either begrudge it, or you're just constantly on life's treadmill.
Yeah.
And actually, you've got to find things in life that you enjoy and that you want to do, and that has really helped me with improving my mental health and well-being.
Oh, fantastic. No, that's brilliant. And just to give some, a bit of advice to other mums as well who are managing multiple roles and responsibilities like yourself, what kind of things would you advise them to sort of do really and look out for?
Yeah, I am a big fan of outsourcing. So if it's getting a cleaner in, whether or not it's getting someone to help you, because yes, we can do it all, but actually we need to find some time-saving hacks. Basically, how can we get everything done in such a short space of time? Things as well, like doing your food shop online so it gets delivered, the amount of time that saves, because you're not having to, you and the children drag around the supermarket. I mean, I find that one of the most stressful things as a mum is doing the food shop, whereas if you can just do it online and it gets delivered, I think that takes some of the kind of stress out of that. And with that as well, I do a lot of meal planning. So on a Sunday, I will sit down and I think, right, what have we got coming up this week? Where are the children going to be? What classes? What are we doing? It also helps me with my content planning as well, with the food, with the CIC. But it's just getting a little bit organized and things like that. So then I start off the week really feeling fresh, and kind of in control, and that for me really helps. So yeah, all those kind of measures. And then, within my business as well, because I haven't got a lot of money at the moment, it is a bit of a challenge. But when I was making good money with my PR and marketing, is kind of looking at a virtual PA or just someone to just help with the kind of general administration and things to help keep life on track. And but that's I suppose that could be quite an affluent thing to say, but actually it's kind of like, what are the priorities? Work out in your day, what are the things that you really need to be able to do in order to get by, and then work from there.
Oh, fantastic. No, that's some great tips there that you've given. And anything on the horizon, anything exciting coming up for you?
Well, yeah, wow. I've put all the plans together for building the community kitchen. I'm just trying to raise the finance at the moment. So looking at grant giving organisations, and just looking around to see what's in reach, because again, it is something that I really want to do, but I know that I personally can't afford to do it on my own. And although my husband's very supportive, it is a challenge, but ultimately that's what I want to do for the rest of my life, having that cookery school where I can invite people in person and share what we have here, to basically empower more people to cook from scratch. So yeah, that's where I'm heading, and in the short term, looking at the kind of community engagement and collaboration with other organisations to be able to strengthen my work. And just looking forward to the summer and all the different things that are growing in the garden. I've just established a new peony bed, so I'm going to look at selling cut flowers as well from the farm gate. So yeah, there's a lot of strings to my bow. So I'm quite positive about the future, but I just want to feel like there's a few more green lights coming my way, because at the moment it's kind of, I've done the hard graft and I just need a few more people to give me a bit of a break. I think it will come, but it's in the fate of other, my fate are in the hands of other people at the moment. So
No, it sounds like you've got some incredible plans and everything. And it's really good that you've obviously got that vision, and you know how and what you need to take it to the next level. What I'll do is when the podcast goes live, we'll have a link to you, basically, to how they can find.
amazing.
And you just never know who's out there, who's listening, and who's inspired, who wants to give that hand and everything. So it's been a real pleasure having a chat to you. Have you got any last few words or anything you want to say?
Well, just thank you so much for the opportunity, because like you say, you never know who's listening. Obviously I'm very active on social media at Milly Fyfe, and also at No Fuss Meals for Busy Parents, and got my website, and I've got some hero videos, and I've also got a YouTube channel as well. So check me out, see what you think, get in touch. I always like to hear from people, because I'm doing all of this, and unless people tell me, I don't know otherwise if I'm making what a difference it is making. So it is nice to hear from people. So yeah, get in touch, and thank you so much for having me.
No, thank you so much for coming on and all those great tips. So it's been brilliant having a chat to you today. Thank you.
All right, take care. Thank you.